Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're taking on a genuinely fascinating and, yeah, pretty tangled web. We are going to decode Florida's complex education funding system. If you've ever, stared at your tax bill or heard the latest news about public school funding and thought to yourself, wait, the math just isn't mathing here, well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to lift the hood and see what's really happening behind the scenes.
It's the question on literally everyone's mind, right? Think back a few decades. Floridians were sold a super simple promise. Buy a lottery ticket, support the schools, and replace the education tax burden. It was supposed to be this massive win-win for both the kids and the taxpayers. But as the years have rolled by, that original question, where did the lottery money go, has kind of evolved. Now, as taxpayers are looking at their steadily climbing bills, the real question we need to ask is, where did all the education money go?
And honestly, this captures the core frustration perfectly. Despite the lottery, homeowners are still paying school property taxes. They're paying local school referendums and dealing with reassessed tax bills. And yet, at the exact same time, public school districts are waving these massive red flags about declining enrollment and severe funding pressures. They are literally closing schools and leaving buildings totally empty. So for the rest of this explainer, I want you to put on your auditor's hat with me. We're going to open the books together and figure out why this entire system feels like a giant shell game.
Section 1. The Education Shell Game. The Broward County Case Study.
So there is just a massive gap between what we were told and what we actually experience day to day. The original lottery promise was presented as this clear-cut solution to replace the tax burden. But the reality on the ground? Well, the lottery money is real, sure, but it only ever supplements education. It never actually replaces those school property taxes. Instead, taxpayers find themselves paying multiple times through all these different avenues. Let's ground this in reality for a second. Take Broward County right now as a live case study. Down there, lottery dollars are actively being counted as education support, but homeowners, they're still paying school property taxes. Meanwhile, voucher participation is expanding rapidly, public school enrollment is dropping, and buildings are actively being repurposed or shut down. It's all happening right now in real time.
Moving to Section 2. The 2026 Tax Proposal. Relief or Rearrangement.
Okay, let's dive into the mechanics of this upcoming reform. Florida lawmakers have approved a proposed constitutional amendment for the November 2026 ballot. It's called HJR 1F. In plain English, this proposal would create a much larger homestead exemption for eligible homeowners. It starts at $150,000 in 2027 and bumps up to $250,000 by 2028. Now, on the surface, that sounds like absolute music to the ears of homeowners feeling the squeeze, right? Massive relief. But the absolute crucial point here is that word non-school. This expanded exemption applies specifically to non-school levies. School board taxes are entirely, 100% excluded from this relief.
When you really break down how this shakes out for a taxpayer, the illusion kind of fades. Think about it. Before the proposal, your school tax portion is owed. After the proposal, it is still owed. That education burden remains permanently glued to your tax bill. And sure, the non-school tax portion might go down if you qualify, but local governments are going to face major revenue shortages. If they end up hiking local fees and assessments to make up that lost revenue, your overall financial burden might actually go up. It really just proves the shell game point. If the lottery or these voucher programs had truly solved the funding issue, school taxes wouldn't need to be legally carved out and protected from these tax cuts in the first place.
Section 3. The Working Family Burden. Trickle-down taxation and renters.
So, how does this actually impact the 99%, the renters, the working families? Well, a homestead exemption sounds phenomenal, but it primarily helps people who own and occupy their home as a primary residence. What about everyone renting? Landlords might get tax savings on their properties under these new proposals, but let's be real. In a tight rental market, they are under absolutely no obligation to pass those savings down to the renter. Renters already carry a huge chunk of the property tax system because landlords just build those taxes right into the monthly rent. And if local governments start hiking utility fees, special assessments, or sales taxes to cover the gaps left by the new homestead exemption, renters and working families are going to be paying for those new fees out of pocket while seeing exactly zero relief on their rent checks. It's a squeeze.
The burden is not disappearing. It is just being rearranged. And honestly, that is the true illusion of the shell game. You think the ball is under one cup, but it's just been quietly slipped under another.
Section 4. Layered Taxation Showdown. Following the money.
If we map out the incredibly fragmented streams of education funding, it becomes crystal clear that we aren't just paying for this once. We pay school property taxes for local operations and debt. We pay state sales taxes that feed into the state formula.
We buy lottery tickets for the trust fund. On top of all that, public funds are being diverted into voucher dollars for private options. And finally, local fees pop up to replace lost property tax revenue. That is at least 5 distinct channels flowing right out of your pocket. Yet when we compare all these incoming streams against what school districts are actually spending, the math still fails. Districts are still drowning in high fixed costs, staggering operational expenses, and they're still having to close buildings.
Now, this number is incredibly important, 2026-46. It refers to Florida Auditor General Report number 2026-46. See, the fundamental idea behind modern education funding is that the money should simply follow the child. Makes sense, right? But this specific operational audit found major accountability challenges. It proved that funding does not always reliably follow the child once it leaves the district system. When students and their funding move outside the traditional district to vouchers or private options, the public cost doesn't just neatly disappear. It gets complicated, fast.
Which brings us to Section 5, the taxpayer receipt. Public money requires public proof.
Look, just to be super clear up front, based directly on what our sources are saying, this is not an anti-parent choice or anti-tax relief explainer. Not at all. Parents absolutely deserve options, and homeowners desperately deserve relief. But above all of that, taxpayers deserve a fully transparent, non-ideological accounting of their money. The only way to finally end this shell game is with a comprehensive statewide education dashboard. We need a clear public receipt. This dashboard has to show the lottery transfers and the state funding. It needs distinct, separate silos showing exactly what goes to districts, what goes to charters, and what goes to vouchers, so the funds aren't just blended together beyond public visibility. We need to see scholarship balances, administrative costs across every single model, and most importantly, clear reporting of student outcomes. We need to know, did the money actually benefit the student?
And to actually make this work, there has to be an equal accountability standard. Because right now, the rules just aren't the same for everyone. If public dollars are involved, equal reporting standards have to apply to district schools, charter schools, private schools receiving vouchers, the scholarship organizations themselves, and, yep, even the vendors and tutors. Every single recipient of public money needs to provide a clean, accessible public receipt to the taxpayers, no exceptions.
So I want to leave you with this one final, really powerful question to think about. Before taxpayers are asked for another single dollar, before another local referendum is passed, before another reassessment hits your mailbox, or another fee gets tacked on, where is the receipt? Not a catchy slogan, not a campaign promise, a real, transparent receipt. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking the tough questions, keep looking at the data, and I'll catch you on the next one.